So good evening, everybody. I just was briefed by our state transportation emergency response officials on the preparation being made to deal with Winter Storm Jonas. Listen, this is going to be a significant storm, but nowhere near the kind of storms that we've dealt with over the last 6 years. Now, I've signed a state of emergency, which gives me certain authorities to be able to close roads and do other things. It's going to bring heavy snow to us. Most of that heavy snow will be in the south and central part of the state. National Weather Service is now saying it could be up to 2 feet, could be as small as a foot in those areas. In the northern part of the state, we're looking at anywhere in some areas from 6 inches up to 12 inches. Winds will be high, 25 to 45 miles an hour, with gusts up to 60. And we're only looking at moderate and in some places major coastal flooding. But what I want to remind you of is that this flooding will not lead at this point in our judgment to any evacuations anywhere along the shoreline. So moderate and major are phrases that the National Weather Service uses, but compared to what we've done before, not something that I think is going to be necessitating any type of evacuations along the shore. The worst conditions will be all day Saturday. The snowfall is expected to stop Saturday night, maybe early Sunday morning. Some whiteout conditions and some roads will be impassable due to blowing and drifting snow. We have 3,800 pieces of equipment deployed around the state. The DOT was able to brine all the roadways beforehand, which should allow us to do some very good first run plowing to be able to clear the roads in the first run. DOT has implemented their shelter-in-place protocol for all winter operations from 6 a.m. Saturday through Sunday at noon. That means essential staff will be staying at the DOT facility during the most intense part of the storm to ensure employee safety and make sure they're there to go to work on their next shift. Road crews will be out working to clear and salt the roads. So if you don't have to drive, don't. Okay, the work week is over. You know, if the smartest thing for you all to do on Saturday afternoon would be stay home, stay where you are. Hopefully tonight, by the time you're seeing this, you will have gotten all the essentials from the supermarket and elsewhere. Hopefully you're prepared for any emergency matters, like with flashlights and your generators and all the rest. If you do that, you should be in good shape tomorrow. New Jersey Transit, the Turnpike, the Parkway, South Jersey Transportation Authority have been preparing since Wednesday. It's a full statewide mobilization, so we're ready to go. We're also at 100% capacity in terms of our salt supply, because it's been a very mild winter so far, so we have 228,000 tons of salt. I don't know how much that is, but it seems like a lot, and I think it'd be more than enough for what we have to deal with in the next 24 hours. DOT is working with the state police to have tow trucks available, make sure that we clear disabled vehicles more quickly, and they'll have safety service patrols out there if there are any travelers or vehicles that get into distress. DOT will be out there trying to make sure we can help. New Jersey Transit has equipped locomotives with plows and has tested and readied the 750 switch heaters that we have in the system to allow trains to access all tracks and perform all usual movements. As of this evening, I've authorized New Jersey Transit to suspend service following the conclusion of its daily operations today at approximately 2 a.m. New Jersey Transit is authorized to resume service throughout the system as conditions allow. That's a decision that will be made at New Jersey Transit. To give customers additional travel options during the winter conditions, Transit will offer system-wide cross-honoring beginning at midnight tonight, enabling customers to use their ticket or pass on any alternate travel mode, whether it's rail, light rail, or bus, including private bus carriers. All MVC offices and inspection stations in the state with Saturday hours will be closed tomorrow. I don't want to try to make MVC employees get out on the road and travel to get there. I doubt they'll have many customers tomorrow anyway, so we've closed the MVC offices for tomorrow. DEP's Bureau of Coastal Engineering and their flood control folks are monitoring all the forecasts for precipitation and storm surge. They already have boots on the ground, completed pre-storm surveys of our beaches, and are doing outreach to towns for sand needs on non-engineered beaches. DEP staff will also assess erosion and flooding, obviously, post-storm. Residents should be prepared for the potential power outages due to high wind conditions and accumulating snow on power lines and wires. The BPU president, Rich Moroz, has been on conference calls with the power companies and the public utility leadership and advised them to take appropriate measures. I can assure you that he'll be in constant conversation over the course of the next 24 to 48 hours and perhaps longer, depending upon how much power we lose, to be able to keep everyone advised as to power situations and if it's lost, how long for potential restoration. BPU has activated its storm cloud reporting system for power companies to collect outages. They're posting it on their website and with links to the utility storm web pages for reporting of outages and obtaining outage information, so we can keep not only the public but the press as current as possible on outages, where they are and how many. At the same time, residents should prepare themselves for the outages. You know, do all the things that we always tell you to do. Make sure you got plenty of water, non-perishable food items, cold weather clothing and supplies, and make sure your cell phone is fully charged. If you have a member of your family dependent on medications or electric-powered health equipment, make sure you have a plan to assist them. All of our counties are prepared with sheltering options in case power is lost and folks need to be able to shelter someplace else because of the cold weather. You reach out to your local police forces, they'll be able to get you in touch with the county places and where to shelter. If your power goes out, your first contact should be to your power company, so you're identified as an outage and they can work to restore your service as quickly as possible. So the overall message is, we'll get through the storm, we always do. That's the way we do things in New Jersey. Don't go on the roads. Be smart, okay? Just don't go on the roads. You don't need to. There's no reason to go out and have an adventure. That adventure could turn out badly. And if you absolutely have to go out during the storm, stay behind the salt trucks and plows. Don't mess with them, please. They're trying to do the work they need to do. And be safe. We're here. All the people assembled behind me have been working with me since Wednesday to make sure that all preparations are in place. And we will deal with what we need to deal with over the next 24 hours. I will be out tomorrow all over the state assessing the situation personally in different regions of the state. You'll get a schedule as to where I'm going to be because I suspect you'll want to be with me. And we'll make sure that we make that available to everybody as quickly as possible. And I'll be assessing those situations personally on the ground throughout the state, and then making any changes or adjustments that we need to make to our preparations. But as I was saying to the folks who are over there going to be doing some of the hard work, you know, this is our 17th snow emergency in my 6 years. So we've done this before. We feel relatively confident in our ability to be able to do it well, but we're not taking our eye off the ball. We're working hard, make sure we get done what we need to get done. So that's the update. Questions, please. Mr. Cruz.
Governor, yesterday in New Hampshire, we asked you were planning to come down here. You at first said no. What's changed?
I never said no, David. You know, like, language matters. And right. And what did I say after that? I said I don't plan to, but I'm getting updated multiple times a day, and if circumstances warrant, I'll come. You all want me to make a decision on Wednesday, when these folks, or Thursday, when these folks haven't even gotten where the storm can really be tracked effectively and we really know what's going on. It's an ineffective way to do it. I'm not going to make a decision before I have the information I need. And so I was being briefed 3 times a day. Last night I got briefed again. I said, okay, let's do another briefing at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning, and then I'll make a judgment as to what I would do. So the reporting that I wasn't coming back was wholly inaccurate, and you know, didn't put into effect the words that I used. Am I coming home? I have no plans to come home. The circumstances got worse and clarified. So as soon as it did, then I came home. But if the storm blew out to sea and I came home, I'd look pretty stupid. And so the fact is that you make the decision when you have clarity on what the circumstances are going to be. I had clarity this morning at 11 o'clock after that briefing that the storm was going to come here and was going to be of some measure of significance. Once I knew it was going to come on shore, hit here, and have some measure of significance in certain parts of the state, then my decision was easy. If that was going to happen, I was coming home. And that's what I said even as far back as Wednesday. I said, if I'm needed at home, I will come home. I said, at this point, I'm not needed there. The Lieutenant Governor is here. The rest of the Cabinet is here. I'm getting regular briefings. And if I feel as if there's a need for me to come home, I will. If there turns out not to be a need for me to come home, I won't. I made that decision at the moment that you needed to make the decision, and I got here before one flake fell on the ground in the place where we are. So we're here, we're ready. So the only thing that changed it didn't change my mind. The view was, I have a plan. And if the plan, it works, and the storm goes offshore, then I don't have to come back. If it does, then I'm back. And that's what I did. Other questions? Yeah.
You said that when you were in New Hampshire earlier today that people would criticize you, the state would criticize you. Got there. What are the criticisms? What are you concerned of?
I never said I was concerned. I was just speaking reality. When you're in public life, no matter what it is you do, you get criticized. I saw a story today on one of the websites that said, you know, in January of 2015, the headline of the story was, why hasn't New Jersey decided yet whether to close roads and New Jersey Transit? And in the story, they say in January of 2015, Governor Christie and Governor Cuomo decided to close MTA, New Jersey Transit, and the Hudson River crossings. They turned out to be wrong, and the storm didn't come in, and they were criticized for it. So I called Governor Cuomo tonight and said, hey, you want to close them again, just for fun? I mean, no matter what you do in this circumstance, if I come home and the storm doesn't hit tomorrow, people will say, well, why did he come home? If I stayed up there and the storm hit, I'd be criticized for staying there. I'm not complaining about it, nor, let me make this very clear, nor am I least bit concerned about it. I was just stating in response to a question, a fact of life when you've been in public life at this level for the last 6 years. That's just the way it goes. Everybody's an expert. Everybody who writes, everybody's got a pen or a computer is an expert. And so that was in response to a question, and I believe me, not the least bit concerned about it. Yeah. Her service will halt at 2 a.m. Then they will make an assessment. That will allow them to use the plows on the tracks, get snow cleared, and then they'll make an assessment themselves tomorrow as the storm moves through when they'll resume service. So I've authorized them to cease service at the end of their service day today, which is 2 a.m. Then that's going to allow them to use the plows on the tracks, continue to heat the switching areas, and make sure that things are moving okay. And then they'll make a judgment based upon the safety of the system of when they want to reopen it or not. They'll make that recommendation to me, and then I'll either authorize it or not. But they'll be done at 2 a.m. today, and then people can keep an eye on their computers and all the rest of the advisories, both from TV and radio and from their computers, to find out when it's back up. But it will be closed as of 2 a.m. tomorrow morning. Well, we've done a lot of things in advance at the Jersey Shore in terms of building dune systems and starting to engineer and replenish the beaches. But we have certainly concerns about beach erosion. I'm not all that concerned. I think we'll have some street flooding at the shore, but I don't think we'll have anything much more than that, and certainly nothing at this moment that shows us that would necessitate any type of evacuation anywhere from Cape May up to the Bay Shore. What can be done in advance? What we've done already. What more could be done? To continue and complete the building of the dune system. It would be helpful if the folks who continue to resist that in the places around the state where they do, the very few places left, Point Pleasant, Bay Head, Margate, would relent and care more about protecting their neighbors than they care about their own personal property. But that's going to be an ongoing fight we're going to have in court. But absent that, that's the stuff that you can do beforehand. That's the stuff we have done. But I'm not overly concerned about the flooding at this point. Everything we hear is that it's going to be street flooding. The only variable there is the wind. If the wind continues at a much heavier rate and blows more water in, we could have some back bay flooding situations that we have to keep an eye on. But the DEP is keeping an eye on that. But none of it at this point we're anticipating the need for any evacuation, which to me is kind of the breaking point where you start to really be concerned about it. Street flooding, we'll deal with that. It'll recede over the period of time, and we don't want people traveling anyway. And at the shore area, there won't be significant snow accumulation. We're talking maybe 4 to 6 inches. So they'll get much easier on the snow accumulation at the shore, which will obviously help as well. Yes, sir. Just do our job. Clear the snow off the roads, and make sure that plans are in place to restore power wherever it needs to be restored. And if I feel like that's all in hand, I'll go back to New Hampshire. And if I don't feel it is, I'll stay here. But that'll be a call I'll make again, as I said in response to David's earlier question. That'll be a call that I'll make based upon circumstances on the ground when I have the most information. So I certainly can't make that call now, but I'll make it when I see what happens. Claude? Yeah. Both. both. It's both. I mean, I can't give you a percentage. I mean, you know, all I'm telling you is that I think there is an element of this always where when people see you here on the ground, they feel comforted by that. Could I do most of what I will do here by phone? Sure. The only thing I can't really do is what I'll do tomorrow, which is actually physically being on the ground and seeing conditions for myself. I'd have to rely on others to tell me that or to see TV reports or whatever. So that's the major thing I can do, being on the ground, that I can't do otherwise. These people standing behind me have been working with me for the better part of 6 years, some of them longer. And so they know what I want done, and they know how I want it done, and I've made that really clear to them on all the calls that we've had over the last 2.5 days. But there's an element to this that's really important for people to know that I'm here, I'm on the ground, and if something were to go sideways, that I'm here to deal with it. And there was never any doubt in my mind that if I felt there was an opportunity that something might go sideways because of the conditions, that I would come back. But, when people start asking me on Wednesday, are you going to come back on Friday or Saturday? It's too early to make that decision. And I have responsibilities here. I have responsibilities to a campaign for president. I have to balance all those things, and I do that every single day. And I was on 4 different conference calls today on other state matters that are emergent and that I'm dealing with. It's the nature of the job, and your point is well taken, that in the world that we're in now, the whole idea that when a governor is out of state, somehow they're not in charge is laughable. I know everything that's going on here on a real-time basis, and can respond on a real-time basis. But I'm happy to be back. I'm doing my job and doing what I need to do, and I wouldn't be anyplace else. This is my choice. No one told me I have to do this. This is my choice. I'm doing it because I think it's the right thing to do and the right place for me to be, and I'll be here until I'm secure that we have passed through the storm and that we have the situation in hand. David?
Governor, the fact is that we are 18 days away from an election. You lost today, probably tomorrow, maybe.
Definitely tomorrow.
Are you concerned at all that the days ticking off the calendar is just off 2 or 3 now?
No, listen, I was there for half the day today, and I got the First Lady there. I'll probably do better. My numbers will probably go up. A few days of Mary Pat without me probably will be a really good thing. So, no, I'm not, listen, this is the nature of being a governor. You can't just not show up. And that's why, it's laughable. I see all these people counting how many days I've been out of state. And when they do it, they count like when I go to New York City. Well, man, if that was the standard, John Corzine was never here. I mean, he stayed in New York every night. And you all know that. Okay, so the fact is that the way you all count the days that I'm not here is like when I go across the river to do a TV show, it's counted as a day I'm not here. I know what you're trying to do, and I know what the intent of that is. That's fine. But you never did that with Governor Corzine, who all of you know, spent almost every night of his governorship, except for when he was convalescing from his injury, in New York City. And so, I don't know if we counted those days or not, but, that's why, this stuff is kind of silly. In the end, I'm doing my job. I'm where I need to be. I'm where I want to be. And when it's time to go back to New Hampshire, I'll go. And the people of New Hampshire, I'm sure, are going to understand that I have a job of consequence and responsibility. And when it's time to do your job, you got to be there to do it. And that's what I'm doing. Other questions? Excellent. Thank you all very much.